Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session. So today we're going to see how we're going to manage remote devices using MobileIron. So MobileIron, it's a UEM, it's a universal endpoint management, and we are talking about three main operating system over here. One is iOS, Android, and Windows. If you have any question during any time of the session, you can always use the Q&A session. I'll try my best to answer at the end of the session. Okay. So yes. So we nowadays users, companies, their users, they are using their email, their corporate data over the mobile, whether it is a company-owned device or it's their own device. So they are accessing their corporate data using their devices. So as a corporate, it is very critical to see how to manage the devices, whether those devices have any, make sure all the security postures are there, and how to allow securely to their backend resources. So with MobileIron, we have a single pane of glass dashboard, whether it is iOS, Android, or Windows or a Mac. You have a single dashboard where you can manage all these devices. And you have a centralized policy engine, and this policy engine can be created based on the operating system. And we have millions of devices currently managed by MobileIron. So traditionally, everyone they are using their own desktops, and the infrastructure that used to be on premises. But nowadays, if you see, people are moving towards the cloud. As and when people are moving towards the cloud, the user also they are using mobile devices. So it's now like user are using their devices to access their cloud resources, whether it is a cloud resources or on premises. We can see how MobileIron will help you to make the access secure. So let's talk about MobileIron. MobileIron has more than 14,500 plus customers, and they have globally more than 2,000 customers, and they are in 7 years they are leader in the quadrant, and they have won 53 total patents. Okay, so these are the industry standard certificates supported by MobileIron. And so, like I said, when IT, their main concern is to like secure whoever is accessing the data, whether it's on premises or it is on the cloud. Okay, so let's see. This is the high-level architecture of MobileIron. So let me put my pointer over here. So with MobileIron, we have two main servers. One is the UEM console, and another is the Sentry. This UEM console can be an on-prem server or it can be a cloud instance. And Sentry, it is an on-prem server. Sentry, it's nothing but a gateway to connect to their backend resources. When I say backend resources, it can be a simple file share server, or it's an email server, or any internal web applications. And UEM console, it's the heart of the system where it is used to manage policies, devices, configuration, users. You can integrate it with your existing directory so that based on your LDAP group, you can have policies created and pushed to the users. And there is something called MobileIron Access. Access is something to control access to the cloud resources like OneDrive, SharePoint, Salesforce, or in Google Office 365. And Bridge is just a platform. Bridge is it is used to manage the Windows 10 machines. For an example, if you want to push a PowerShell scripts, or if you want to push a group policy, or install exe on Windows 10 endpoint, you can Bridge is a platform which helps you to push those type of configuration. So if you notice, this is the end user mobile. This orange, it's a logical container. So whenever a device is registered with MobileIron, the logical container will be created. The reason for that is whatever happens inside the container stays inside the container, and any app outside the container cannot get or receive any data within the container. And on the left, these are all the apps from MobileIron. So this first one, it's a UEM client, and this helps to get in sync with your UEM console, whether it is a cloud or on-prem. This will make sure the right policies are being fetched from UEM console and applied on the end user devices, and make sure all the compliance policy are met. Then it will also perform authentication and authorization for the access being provided by the IT admin. The next one is the Enterprise App Store. Enterprise App Store, it's a place where you can publish your in-house developed apps, or you can also pull application from publicly available app store like Google Play Store or iOS App Store and put it in Enterprise App Store and make it available for the user. So for user on device, they'll just see this app as an additional to their Google Play Store or iOS App Store. But if it's if the device owned by the company, then they'll have full control on the device. So you can even remove Google Play Store and make the available only this. Okay. And the next one is a secure email plus. It's like a native. I'll have a couple of slides to show detail how it looks. I'm just giving a brief about each application. So email plus is a secure email application for accessing email, and this is the Docs at Work. Docs at Work for Android, it serves to two purpose. Any attachment received from the email, iOS has the capability to open, whether it is a PDF or Microsoft Office attachment. But the Android, it's not. You need to have a document viewer. So this Docs at Work serves one purpose, to view or open any attachment from the email plus, or it can also connect to your backend share, whether it is a cloud file share or even on-prem file share. You can connect to it, and the user have their access to their file shares. And this one is a secure web browser, and this is Help at Work. Help at Work, it's nothing but admin can able to take remote action and remote view on the end user device if at all the user face any issues. And this one is the MobileIron Tunnel. MobileIron Tunnel, there is something called App Connect and App Tunnel. So all these applications from MobileIron, it's by default App Connect enabled. By default, all App Connect enabled apps, once it is authorized with the EM console, it will give, Sentry will give access to those App Connect enabled apps. If a company is using, or if you're using a third-party application and you have a backend server for the same, for an example, Outlook, or even a Microsoft Power BI. So those, it's not App Connect enabled, and you cannot make that app as App Connect enabled. So MobileIron Tunnel, it's a tunnel for the third-party application. Once the app is managed and pushed by UM console, it will make sure all the device compliance for sure or right. Then Sentry will allow access to the backend resource using the tunnel. And the last one, it's a MobileIron Authenticator. It's mostly used for in relation with access, so that you can also use as a multi-factor or give access control to the cloud resources. So this is a very high-level architecture of MobileIron. And if you notice, there is something called MobileIron Threat Defense. MobileIron Threat Defense is again a separate server, and it is integrated with the MobileIron. And MobileIron is the only vendor who has threat defense integrated with the same EM client. So you don't need to have a separate app for having this threat defense. We have a separate session on threat defense, how it works and how it protects and how it can be integrated. So in this session, we are not going to focus much on threat defense. Okay. So like I said, these are the MobileIron EM apps. So we have this Email Plus, Docs at Work, Web at Work, and Help at Work. And MobileIron Tunnel. So the tunnel, as I mentioned, so it is used for per app VPN. So if you have an Outlook application and you have a Power BI, or even if you have a Chrome for your user to access your internal resources, so this tunnel will be used to authorize with the MobileIron core, and it will pass on the traffic to the backend resources. So there is something called advanced traffic control. So it will only allow particular traffic from a particular app to reach to the particular backend resources. So for an example, Outlook, you can have a separate tunnel configuration. The moment user opens Outlook, the particular tunnel configuration will be triggered, and only using that particular VPN, it will connect to the backend Exchange server. If you open a Chrome, and this Chrome uses a separate set of VPN configuration, and that will be triggered when Chrome is open, and that will take you to the backend respective web application server. And you can also push, for an example, there are a couple of applications available for HR department, and there are a couple of applications for sales, and a couple of applications for IT. So you can have a different set of VPN configuration for these groups, and you can push based on their LDAP groups or whatever it's matching. And like I said, MobileIron Bridge, it's just a platform for managing the Windows 10. So you'll have this group policy and exe PowerShell scripts can be moved to the Windows 10 endpoints. Threat defense, the only difference between MobileIron Threat Defense and other competitor is that it is integrated with the same client, and the remediation happens on the device offline. Even it doesn't need to connect to any third-party cloud or even on-prem cloud to get the signature to go for the remediation action. The moment it detects any type of threat or any type of malicious activity happening on the device, it will take the action locally on the device itself. And those configuration you can customize. So you have a set of iOS, Android configure local action to be taken for each type of attacks. So I'll just give you an example. For example, if you are downloading any application which is not available in the App Store and you are sideloading that application, and that application tend to be a malicious one, which is trying to steal the location or any type of personal data from any other app installed on the same device. So the moment the app trying to reach other app for the data, MTD will be triggered and it will quarantine that particular application. So this you can do the action in two ways. For company-owned devices, one, you cannot even able to sideload any application. Other, even the user managed to put any sideloaded application which is trying to do this malicious things, the device will be quarantined. So the device will no longer connect to the corporate resources. The user cannot use any of the corporate apps like email, docs, and web. If it's a user-owned device, the moment it detects any kind of threat or malicious activity happening, it will block access to the corporate resources. It doesn't do anything on the device. It will only block access to the, for an example, the user cannot be able to access email or backend web application or their file share documents. So this is a dashboard for on-prem cloud. So you can see how many devices are being registered and how many are under compliant, and based on operating system types and based on ownership, whether it is a company or employee or even by the operator. And this is the app catalog, the enterprise app store. So you can push application from iTunes, Google Play, or even Windows. You can also publish your in-house developed application through this app store. And you can also have a customized terms and service when the user try to register for the first time. So this is a customized. You can have your own HTML with your company logo and your own language, and you can make your users to accept the customized terms and service to proceed for the registration process. And this is very crucial for the user-owned device. So as a company, you are putting something on the user personal devices. So they always have this concern, like my company is like tracking my call logs, or they are accessing my photos or messages. So this is something where you cannot even edit it. So the user should know what access been accessed by the company and what access the company cannot access. So this will give a clear information like how the personal content remain personal and what is accessible by company and what the company can able to do using MobileIron. Okay. So let's space. It's like a admin page, or it's like, excuse me. So space is something like a globally available space. For an example, you have a company and having several branches, and each branch you can define a different space across mentioning with reference to the region. For an example, you can have one in Middle East, one in Asia, and one in US, and you'll have a same marketing team for across all spaces. So each space will have their own admin. Whatever the admin belongs to the particular space, managing the devices will be belonging to the devices or users managed within the spaces. And there is also a global space available, which will have access to all the spaces. And within each space, you can always integrate with your directories to link with your local LDAP or Active Directories. Okay. So this is the apps network which I was referring. So you can also push apps based on their role or the LDAP group. So you can push set of application for the HR department, and you can also send a set of application for the IT department or the finance department. You can have your own screenshots, your own ratings to publish. It looks like a typical app store. So this is how it looks on the iOS, Android, and Windows Mobile. So docs at work, it's like I said, it is used for two purposes. One is to view attachment and another is to connect to your backend resources. So this will have the DLP features enabled. Any attachment opened or received in email plus can be only opened in docs at work. And any attachment stays in the docs at work, stays within docs at work. You cannot able to, you have a control to you can customize. You have full control on the attachment, whether being shared outside the container or should stay within the docs server. If you have any attachment in your file share server, and if you have access to through docs at work, you can only move those files using email plus. Just excuse me. I'm sorry about that. I just got a call. Okay, yeah. So docs at work, like I said, it has, you can connect any attachment received. You can only share through the email plus application, and you can always restrict user taking screenshots or copy paste anything copied inside docs at work. MobileIron secure browser or the email secure email application, but you cannot paste it outside, like for example in the WhatsApp or Google Chrome or even messages. And you can also use the docs at work to connect to the cloud resources, Redbox, SharePoint, Office 365, and even Salesforce. App Connect is a terminology used by MobileIron. So when I say App Connect, by default, all App Connect apps will connect to Sentry. And this App Connect apps, or by default, MobileIron App Connect apps were like Email Plus, Docs at Work, and Web at Work. If you have application inbuilt, you can also make that application as a App Connect enabled. So MobileIron has this wrapping SDK, so you can wrap your application and make your application as an App Connect enabled. So once it is enabled, you can have this device encryption DLP per app VPN, and you can also have app authentication. So when you open the app, you can enforce the users to create a passcode, and only after entering the passcode they can able to access the application. And you can also have a selective wipe for that. So if your device is not compliant, when you do a selective wipe, all application being managed by MobileIron will be like automatically revoked, means automatically uninstalled. Okay. And this is the life cycle of when you wrap an app and using the SDK, and you can distribute using the enterprise app store, and it will be made available on the device. So by this, these are the DLP control you will get. You can restrict copy paste, and you can also restrict the opening attachment for to any third-party apps. And like I mentioned, you can also have secure passcode enabled for that particular App Connect enabled application. And you can always block screen capture for iOS and print for iOS and camera for Android. So this is the main difference between public apps and private apps. Public apps like WhatsApp, Facebook, or any application which are available publicly over Google Play Store or iOS App Store, you cannot wrap it because we don't have the source code or SDK to wrap those application. App Connect wrapper will be applied only to the in-house developed application, where you can wrap the app and you can resend the app and you can make it available in the enterprise app store. Web at Work, it's again App Connect app, and it's a secure browser. So it looks like a native. You'll get a native feel-like experience, like using Chrome or Safari, but you'll have this DLP feature enabled like any other App Connect apps. So you can have per app tunnel. You might have multiple internal web applications. So each internal web application might require a different set of VPN configuration. So you can always push those VPN configuration per app tunnel to communicate between the user end user devices to your backend resources, and the data is containerized. Whatever you are accessing will be within the Web at Work, and you can always put role-based content. You can push a set of configuration bookmarks or VPN to a particular LDAP group, and you can also have different set of configuration and VPN to a different LDAP group. And you can always have passcode enforced to opening any web at work application. And these are the DLP features. You can restrict the copy, and you can, if any email address available on the web content, usually when we click on that email link, our default email client will be open to send out an email. But in this case, you can even block that. And you can also make like any email link which are clicked inside the web at work, the email, secure email plus will be open to send out any emails. And you can also set complaints if the device is jailbroken or rooted, or someone try to remove the MDM profile or disable the data and protection. And even if the device is not reaching the core or EM console for X number of days, you can set a complaint saying to revoke access to the corporate data. And you can also have app control. So you can always have a list of blacklisted applications. So when any user try to download or have these blacklisted application installed on their mobile device, you can automatically revoke your access to corporate data. So there is a difference between web at work and using Safari with the tunnel. So you will have this whatever content you are accessing to web at work will be encrypted, and you can enforce a passcode for the browser. This is available for both iOS and Android, and you can have the DLP features enabled. But with tunnel, you don't have this DLP feature, but still you can whitelist, blacklist URLs. So you can, if you're using Safari with the tunnel, you can allow only particular URLs to be accessed. Or you can also have a VPN based on the device posture. So if the device is compromised or something like that, you can say a complaints check saying if the device is compromised or not complained, you can block access to the corporate data. Email Plus. So Email Plus, it's again another AppConnect app. So it has its own email, contacts, calendar, and tasks like your native application. So this is applicable for both iOS and Android. And you have the same native like app experience, and you have the DLP features and other features like whatever the AppConnect is providing. You can have a secure passcode, and you can have screen capture and DLP control in place. So this is how it looks on Android. And like I said, it has its own independent encryption. I'll show you a live demo how it looks. Okay. And for Windows 10, so we can do a system imaging over the air, and you can also do embedded data security. And for any new employees joining, and they are and as a company they are giving out the Windows 10 device, you can always push set of application to be installed the first time. And you can also send configuration like only to a trusted particular Wi-Fi this laptop can connect. So you can restrict the laptop to connecting to other Wi-Fis. You can only restrict the laptop to connect to the corporate Wi-Fi. And it is controlled on the same dashboard. So this is how it will be. This is the life cycle of how the Windows is managed. So it will be initially provisioned, and the configuration is pushed. And based on the requirements, you can fine tune or tweak the protection and policy, and you can deploy whatever the application you want to push based on the LDAP group. And you can always have the compliance and monitoring check. And you can also, the moment you want to like quarantine or dismantle or break communication from the user, for example, if the user suddenly quit the company and they have the laptop with them and they haven't surrendered, you can also have end of life. You can wipe out the whole data on the end laptops. So we have all these three type security addressed with MobileIron. We'll have secure data at rest with MobileIron Core and Cloud with their policies and configuration based on the requirement, and secure data in motion for using MobileIron Tunnel and Sentry. And there is a cloud service access control by using MobileIron Access. So this is a unique approach from the MobileIron. So this is the end of my slide. I'll just share you a quick demo. For some reason, I'm unable to show you the iOS. So if you have any questions, you can use the Q&A session, or you can always get back to us. You can drop an email to us and we'll try to address your queries. So let me try one last time.